President Trump issuing an executive order to drop reciprocal tariffs on dozens of food items, including staples like coffee, beef, bananas, and tomatoes. The move marks a major push by the administration to address Americans' concerns over persistently high prices. Here's the president last night.
Look, for the most part, the foods, when we cut back a little bit on those tariffs, we'll get the price down, but they're not competitive in this country. Like tomatoes and bananas and things, we don't make them in this country. So there's no protection of our industries or our food products. You have to understand, we've all suffered from the Biden prices, which were much higher than they are right now. But I'll be able to get them down even lower, at least a little bit lower, possibly in some cases a lot lower.
The new exemptions fueled by price increases you might be seeing at your grocery stores. As of September, the average retail price for coffee is up more than 40% in the past year.
And that's not all. Bananas and ground beef prices are also soaring. Bananas up 6.6% since last year, and ground beef up 11.5%. That's well ahead of the overall inflation rate of about 3%.
Well, this is good news for coffee.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Most of us enjoy it.
Yeah, we do. The coffee coming, a lot of it from overseas, Colombia, Vietnam.
So can't grow coffee in America.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, a lot of those countries are going to be really happy to have their products come in. The question is this going to be enough?
Well, and that is the question, Rachel, and it's important that President Trump and this administration realizes that things like gas prices are down, eggs are down, but yet they're still feeling the pinch.
Fuel is down.
This is, remember, we just went through 4 years of the Biden administration where everything became unaffordable. Now the president's trying to find specific places to target, and we've talked a lot about the beef prices on this show here, and so hopefully this will go some way towards trying to bring them down across the board when you go to the grocery store.
I think people are happy to see that he's attempting to do something. Remember when there was inflation rising under the Joe Biden administration, they said, well, this is just transitory.
Right.
They tried to gaslight you and tell you it wasn't happening. And then the egg prices were a big deal. And then President Trump came in and he put Brooke Rollins on that. And right away, we got egg prices down. So there are things that the government can do. But part of this is just this. He also probably needs to explain that these tariffs are part of a larger project, right? A larger project to equal out balance between our countries and other countries, and that there just might be, there's going to be a little pain before the good times.
And it's important to tell Americans inflation is compounding. So the 9% inflation we saw during the Biden administration, prices soaring, prices don't really go down. The hope is to increase wages, deregulation, cut taxes.
And that's what also the situation with the border is about. When you seal the border, when you start deporting people who are undercutting American working class wages, that is how you bring up wages. You can't have all this illegal labor willing to work for less than the American worker.
And I think what we saw this week was really President Trump leaning into the whole affordability. We listened to Zohran Mamdani talk about affordability as he was running for mayor, and now, of course, we can talk about whether that's going to wreck New York City or not. But the president leaned into the affordability, and he's put out not only the tariffs, but a handful of other things that he wants to do to make life more affordable for Americans. That includes the food import tariffs, obviously, but also a 50-year mortgage. That's an interesting idea. No one's thought about that. And $2,000 rebate checks for average Americans, middle class, lower income, that would get something back to try and help them to deal with costs. Here's President Trump talking about those rebate checks. Listen.
Some of the rebate checks, sir, how soon could Americans see those checks? Will that be in time for Christmas, holiday shopping?
No, not for this year. It'll be next year sometime.
Do you have a time frame?
No, sometime during the year, next year. It's a lot of money, but we've taken in a lot of money from tariffs. The tariffs allow us to give a dividend if we want to do that. Now, we're going to do a dividend, and we're also going to be reducing debt. We have, because of Biden and others, we have $37 trillion in debt. So we're going to be doing a dividend, which people will enjoy and spend and do what they want. But we're also going to be reducing debt very substantially.
And those checks are not going to be going to high-income earners.
Yeah. And they're not going to come before Christmas. They're going to come after. So maybe if you have that debt hangover, you might get a $2,000 check to help you. I'll tell you what else is going up, and I've noticed it a lot in my house. I'm buying tickets to bring kids back from college. Prices of airlines very
Somebody
high
can talk to you
right
about
now.
that, perhaps?
No, he can't do anything about it. wish he could. He can't do anything about the high prices for housing as well.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways that the president says he wants to deal with this housing issue, because let's just set the stage here for a second. Young people are feeling like the American dream is out of their reach.
Right.
And part of that is because the American dream has been sold around, you know, having a family, having a home, things that all of us have right here on the couch. But if you're in your 20s, that might seem like something you can never achieve, because the average house of a price is so much more expensive now than it was back then when you compare it to your income.
50% higher than January of 2020.
Well, I think about the first house Sean and I bought in northern Wisconsin was $60,000.
Wow. A little cheaper than New Jersey?
It was a little cheaper, but Sean was making $30,000 at that time.
Right.
So, think about that. That's
was affordable.
It was affordable. You could enter into that market. You can't anymore.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of criticism around this proposal for the 50-year mortgage, mainly because they worry that if it helped young people buy it, they'd never pay the thing off. Caroline Downey at National Review writing about it, that 50-year mortgage would make things worse for Gen Z. This is not the answer to the housing crisis. In the article, she writes, the buried lead is that those new buyers will likely never outright own their home that they live in debt-free. Those who commit to a 50-year mortgage will be paying mostly interest for over a decade. The 50-year mortgage is being marketed as a pain reliever to young people, but in many ways, it's just rubbing it in. The product would deny Gen Z the chance to build equity in a home, and with it, a sense of pride and attachment to one's community, or anything approaching a reasonable timeline. I got to tell you, I still live in the house that my wife and I bought when we got married 26 years ago. I had a 30-year mortgage, and not too long ago, we actually paid the mortgage off. So I'm living debt-free in that house. And, you know, when I hit that milestone in my life, I really felt like I'd achieved the American dream. And so her criticism has some merit to it, because if you think 50 years, you know, with the young people having trouble buying houses now, they're not buying them until their 30s and beyond.
Right.
You're not going to pay a 50-year mortgage off in your lifetime. And
I think in the 70s, maybe, like, the average person buying a home was probably the same age I was, around late 20s.
Definitely.
And now you're approaching your 40s.
40.
Yeah.
And another criticism is interest payments. With
Yes.
a 50-year mortgage, you're going to double the amount you pay in interest over 50 years. That doesn't really help over the long
And people aren't getting out of their homes and into other homes and freeing them up for younger people to buy, because they might be in a mortgage right now that's, you know, 3%. And if they get out, the interest rate's much higher. So there's lots of issues, regulations.
People not getting married.
People not getting married.
Not as much financial.
Banks and you know, buying homes and not on as much supply. So there's a supply issue at the heart of this.
Rachel is working on that marriage problem, though.
We've been working on this couch. But if you make the housing problem a little easier for them, maybe we will get them to get married.
I think it's part of the story.
All right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.